This video presentation is intended for educational purposes only and is not the only source of information on the topics presented. The producers do not endorse or promote any specific procedure or company represented. If after viewing this video you have unanswered questions or concerns on any of the topics presented, it is recommended that you contact other recognized experts on the subject. The content of this programming may be considered visually graphic in nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
So here in South Florida, drownings are a significant problem for us, and we've known this. We've had every year, unfortunately, year-round. This is not just a summertime issue, unfortunately for us, but drownings are a major problem for us.
The state of Florida, unfortunately, children ages 1 through 4 have the highest drowning rate. And that also goes for Palm Beach County itself. Children ages 1 through 4 have the highest drowning rate based on population.
We are the epicenter of drowning, not just in the state, but also in the country. And I think as parents, grandparents, loved ones, we need to understand that even if you don't have a pool, someone you know does have a pool. And we have lakes, we have creeks, we have rivers.
Drowning is as a result of a lapse of adult supervision. Now we understand though that children cannot be watched 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we recommend that parents utilize what we call layers of protection, such as door locks, door alarms, pool safety barriers that actually go around the pool itself, self-locking, self-latching gates. There's toilet lid locks, for example. You want to use as many layers of protection as possible, so if one mechanism fails, there's another in place.
The number of pools that we have, it just dominates the landscape. That's number one. And the second very important thing is that regarding pool fences. But the problem is that most people, unfortunately, don't use the fence, number one. Number two, no one regulates to make sure that that the fence is up. Now, if you have children who are between the ages of 1 and 5 years of age, that's when the drowning is going to occur, then you need to have some sort of system, whether it be a door lock, an alarm, but the pool fence is kind of very a critical matter. You have to have that.
Oftentimes, a lot of drownings occur at parties where there's a lot of children, a lot of adults around a swimming pool, and I think you're watching, you think I'm watching, but guess what? No one's watching. So one of the layers of protection in which we can prevent this from happening is you can hire a lifeguard, which is great, but sometimes people don't have the affinity to be able to do that. We recommend designating a water watcher, as Dr. Entevi has mentioned. And what that means is for 10 solid minutes, you want to identify a particular adult who's sober, preferably knows how to swim and knows CPR. Their sole responsibility for 10 minutes is to walk around the pool area and not to text and not to eat, not to be distracted, but just watch the pool to make sure that a drowning incident does not occur. And then after those 10 minutes, you then give the lanyard or a hat or whatever it is that distinguishes that person as the water watcher. You then give it to another adult for another 10 minutes and so forth. So that way, you know at least one person is watching the pool area.
A very important point is that several years ago, the American Academy of Pediatrics switched their stance on who should get swimming lessons and when. And it used to be that if you were the age of 4 years, that's when the recommendation came in. We all know through years of research that if you have a child who is a 1 year of age, that's when they can start to get swim lessons. So if you're a parent out there, most of you have probably gotten your children in the water before they're a year of age, but you can get formal swim lessons, meaning put your child in the pool and they'll actually have your child get to the side of the pool. There are folks who can make your child turn over until they can float. So please do not wait until later in life. Get the child in the water early. That's a very, very important point for people out there.
But it's really important to remember that a drowning can happen to you regardless of whether or not a child can swim or not swim. And we believe, the Drowning Prevention Coalition, that one of the biggest stigmas that needs to be resolved is people getting away from that mindset, oh, I always watch my child knows how to swim, I don't go near water, I don't have to worry about these things. Yes, you do need to worry about these things. You're in Florida, we're surrounded by lakes, ponds, canals, swimming pools. Wherever you go, there is water.
If you don't have a pool, there's very easy ways to get free swim lessons, and we have folks like Anna Stewart in the county who will help people get free swim lessons. Another big point is that if you're living in a part of the community where either you don't have access or you don't have the funds to get swim lessons, then please reach out, and because that is something that we can provide for you. There are some cultural issues as to why those kids don't get in the water between the ages of 1 and 5. Those are really higher risk. So if you're out there watching this and you have the ability to, maybe go into a community where there's a predominance of children who maybe don't have access, and we can provide access, I think that would be a great opportunity for us to have some community outreach and get our children in the pool really early in life.
We want people to embrace the water and not be fearful of the water, because we find that a lot of people have had really horrible experiences, particularly adults in the past, that they now don't want to put their face in the water, they don't want to go in the water, and they in turn instill that fear in their children, and we do not want that. We want children to learn how to swim.
So it's every parent's worst nightmare when the unexpected happens, and usually it happens right under their nose. You're at a pool party, 4th of July, a birthday party, you're in the shower and somehow your kid slips out, and next thing you know they're in the back in the lake behind your house.
There is no sound when a person drowns. Oftentimes people think they're going to hear splashing and screaming, and that is just not the case, because if your mouth is underwater, you can't speak.
After losing Jake, our world was turned upside down. We didn't have a pool in our backyard, and we didn't live on the water. And although we did put Jake in traditional swim lessons this summer before he passed, he didn't really take to it, and I just had the mindset of, we'll try again next year. And I never got that next year. Being able to promote drowning awareness and talk to families about the importance of putting their children in self-rescue lessons really has helped me move forward with my grief. And just knowing that we're making a difference in potentially saving other children really heals my heart.
Are provided for children that are 6 months to 6 years. From 6 months to 1 year, they learn how to roll back and float and self-rescue if they fall in the water without adult supervision. This is only a layer of protection. The other, when they are a year old, they learn how to swim, float, swim, which is the sequence you saw with Julia. And they swim, they roll back and they float, they flip over until they reach safety. The steps, the wall, the shore, whichever it might be.
When someone tells me that they don't see these lessons are important, I really just tell them that do not think it cannot happen to you, because it can happen to you. It can happen to anyone, anytime, anywhere, and I'm living proof of that. I am a helicopter parent, watch my kids the best that I can, and it still happened to our family. You cannot watch your children 24/7. You have to use the restroom, you have to sleep. They're escape artists. They know how to go out doggy doors or just even open a door. It can happen to you, it can happen to anyone.
And you oftentimes hear parents, well, I just looked away for a second, or they were just sitting right there and I just talked to somebody and the next thing you know, they're in the water. Why? They couldn't hear them.
But to see your child accomplish, being able to self-rescue and save themselves, it's priceless.
You get out to the poolside and you see your child either at the bottom of the pool or floating, which means that they've been under for a long time, they're not struggling anymore. And I should mention, why does it happen at pool parties right under your nose? Because you don't hear anything. You cannot scream when you're drowning, you cannot summon someone when you're drowning. That's a pediatric drowning. No one knows about it, no one hears it until another child is like swimming through the water and kind of feels something underneath them, or someone sees someone floating underneath the water.
A child can drown in the time it takes to answer a telephone, so it's just really important to be vigilant and be within arm's reach of a child when they are in or near water. And it can happen to you. It can.
When it actually happens, obviously first things first, you should have the equipment by the pool to be able to get the child out. So there's something called a shepherd's hook. It's that long pole and it's got a big curved hook on it. You have to have that. You should have a floater device so you can throw it out to them if they need help. But if you can get into the pool and get the child out, then that's what you should do.
Taylor! Oh my God, Taylor! Taylor!
And now what you're going to have is your child or someone's child at the side of the pool, usually not breathing, usually pale or very blue in color. And here's where the decision that you have to make as a parent really has to be thought out beforehand. Your first instinct is to start screaming and yelling, and someone is going to call 911.
Fire rescue, what is the location of your emergency?
Hi, my little one, I just found her in the pool. She's not breathing, I don't think.
Okay, how old is she?
She's 7.
Female child, you said?
She is a girl.
My biggest plea to whoever's watching the show today is don't depend on 911 to start CPR. Don't call 911 to get permission to start CPR. 911 is to let people know what's going on, the age of the child, the address of where you are so we could send the resources. But I urge you as a parent, do not depend on the 911, on the call taker who's helping you to provide you CPR instructions. You ought to know that because every second matters, and what we've unfortunately found is that there's about 50% of parents or family members will not provide CPR to their own children or loved ones. 50%. You need to understand that the children who actually make it out of the hospital alive after drowning are the parents who have given their children CPR on scene. Now, when our paramedics get sent to a scene and they are told that there's a 2-year-old in full cardiac arrest from a drowning, that information is very helpful.
It's a 7-year-old, looks like a drowning. If it's an actual cardiac arrest, you're gonna be airway, you'll be CPR, I'll be monitor and drilling, all right?
Because in order to care for that 2-year-old properly, they now need to know exactly what dose to give.
Defibrillation, the first one's at 50, the rest are at 100. 50 and 100. The EPIs are 2.5 mLs, and if they are in fib or they're in VTAC, we'll do amiodarone and it's 2.5 ml as well.
And so knowing the age and knowing exactly that this child is in cardiac arrest will give them very specific information because now they have 6 minutes. We try to get there sometimes in 4 minutes, really hopefully we'll get there within the first 6 to 8 minutes, but you get there quickly. I want our providers to be able to get there and have the dose of life-saving medication, which is epinephrine, at their, really ready, really at the ready. Meaning that when our providers come to the scene, I want them to be ready to perform the life-saving care that our citizens expect from us.